We are taught from a young age to follow a certain path, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, get promoted, and so on. But what happens once we finally achieve these things? What should you do with the money that you've earned? It seems that the focus on being financially savvy completely disappears once we finally get the good job, as if getting a good job is a guarantee of financial stability. The truth is that no matter how well-paying your job is, there are 7 things you need to do with your money when you get paid if you want to stay financially secure. But, in what order should you do these 7 things? Do you pay off debt first, or do you build an emergency fund? Or maybe you should start investing right away. We are continuously fearful of making the wrong choices. That's why in this video, I'm going to share with you what I personally believe is the optimal order for where to put your money once you get paid. Watch until the end. These simple steps will secure your financial future. Number 1. Pay off high-interest debt. The majority of adults in the US are in debt. But unfortunately, our society has accepted this as being normal. Because of this, people don't think twice before buying a new car that they could have bought used. We work jobs we hate to earn money so we can buy things we don't need just to impress people we don't even like. Yes, that was a Fight Club reference. My point is, one of the biggest problems with debt is that it puts your finances in a chokehold and prevents you from escaping the vicious cycle of poverty. If you have high-interest debt that is eating away at your income, it massively restricts the amount you can save and prevents you from doing smart things with your money that will pay off later. But first, what is high-interest debt? I would define high-interest debt as anything above 7% interest. Some people say 6%, others say 10%. The reason I chose 7% is that historically, when investing in the stock market, you can expect to earn about 10% annually. And when you adjust this for inflation, it comes out to around 7%. So when you factor in the opportunity cost of not putting that money into the stock market, anything above what you could earn in the stock market is classified as high-interest debt. If you focus on paying off debt, that is a tax-free, risk-free, guaranteed rate of return. The very first high-interest debt that you want to pay off is your credit card debt. If you have credit card debt that is charging you 20%, then by paying off that debt, you're making a guaranteed return of 20% since you won't have to pay that 20% in interest anymore. But what about mortgages or other smaller loans? Usually, the interest on those loans isn't as high as credit card debt or overdraft fees, so you can continue making the minimum payments on those. With that out of the way, step 2 on my list is what you will hear a lot of personal finance people talking about doing as step 1, since it offers peace of mind. But to me, this is silly, and I'll explain why. Number 2. Safety net. A safety net is pretty important. And if you don't have one, you need to build a safety net right away. Save 1 month's worth of expenses and put it into a high-interest savings account that you can easily access whenever you need to, without paying any fees. This emergency fund really needs to be kept away. Forget you even have it, out of sight. Start off with 1 month's expenses. This will cover most small emergencies, and you can look into adding to this after you do the next step. On a side note, I've noticed that many personal finance gurus on social media will tell you that a safety net should be the first thing you put money into, instead of paying off high-interest debt. And the reason they say this is because for a lot of people, this will give them psychological peace of mind. But this is plain stupid. If you get peace of mind from tossing money into a savings account while still having expensive debt, it's like ignoring a leak while you fill up the bucket. It doesn't solve the problem. Here's the thing. If you use your savings to pay off your high-interest debt, like a credit card, you're actually saving money in the long run. And if an emergency comes up, you can still use the credit card if you really need to. On top of this, putting money in savings instead of paying off your debt doesn't make your money more accessible, it just costs you more because of the high interest. So, paying off debt first is usually the smart thing to do. Number 3. Employer match. Do you like free money? Because if you're like most Americans, you're leaving a lot of cash on the table. You want to take the match that your employer is offering you for your retirement fund. This is called different things in different countries. In the US, it's known as a 401k, and in Canada, it's called an RSP. And what this means is, for every dollar that you contribute, your employer will also match that contribution and put that towards your pension. For example, if you're earning $100,000 per year and you contribute $4,000 of that towards your workplace pension, your employer matches everything you put in. So they toss in an extra $4,000 as well. So, you're basically making a 100% return on your investment right away. Remember, this is different from the full amount that you can contribute. All you care about here is contributing whatever you need to get the full match, because otherwise, you're just leaving free money on the table. And unfortunately, for these retirement matches that employers provide as a benefit, you can't claim it retrospectively, so you can't claim it now for previous years. So, you're going to want to put money into this every year. You never want to miss out on this free money. Number 4. Additional fund. Imagine the kind of freedom and stability you'd have if you had 3 to 6 months of your living expenses in your bank account at all times. You would be able to rest easy knowing that no matter what happens to your job or your business, you can continue living your current lifestyle for several months while you search for new opportunities, and wouldn't have to rely on credit card debt to get you out of your situation. So, you want to work out what is the absolute minimum amount of money you need to maintain a reasonable lifestyle. Your fixed expenses, your variable expenses, your total expenses for the month, and then multiply that number by 3 to 6 months if you're employed, or 9 to 12 months if you're self-employed. This number is your emergency fund, and it's different from your safety net that we spoke about in the second step. This is for the larger financial shocks with longer-term implications. Now, once you've done that, this is where it gets fun, because you've completed the groundwork for a secure financial future. Now it's time to grow your wealth so you can afford the finer things in life. Number 5. Tax Advantage Account. Invest your extra money through a tax-advantaged account. The reason why you absolutely want to do this is because it's one of the most tax-efficient places you could be putting your money in to make it grow. Most other investments incur some sort of tax. When you buy a stock and make money from it, you usually have to pay capital gains tax. However, when you invest through a tax-advantaged account, such as a Roth IRA in the US, you shield your profits from Uncle Sam. So you want to max out these accounts to their limit so you can grow your income tax-free. Now it's time to pay off low-interest debt, including student debt and car loans. Number 6. Low-interest debt. From a financial standpoint, this debt may not be hurting you as much, so you can choose whether you want to pay it all off or use that money to invest. My personal philosophy is to just pay off this debt right away for peace of mind, unless the interest rate is extremely low, like 2% or less. Mathematically, you would end up richer if you invest the money into something that returns a higher interest than what you're paying on the debt. But I like to reduce my fixed expenses as much as possible. I would rather make a little less money overall if it means I permanently get rid of a monthly interest payment. And if you have bad money habits and would otherwise waste that money on useless purchases anyway, might as well use it to pay off the low-interest debt. Number 7. Optional. Paying off your mortgage. This is the last thing on the list, and I would highlight that it is completely optional, and it really depends on your financial situation. There are so many variables that you have to take into account. How much equity do you have left? When does your fixed rate end? How long do you have left in your mortgage timeline? Personally, in my situation, I would not pay off my mortgage right away. Instead, I would choose to use that money to invest, because mortgage rates are typically some of the cheapest debt you can get, and they have long-term commitments that have already been priced in to be paid over the full term. So, instead, if you wait to pay off your mortgage before you decide to start investing, you're really limiting your time in the investment market. That can take away from some of the benefits of compounding and long-term growth. And on top of that, not all mortgages are flexible, so before you make any overpayments, you want to make sure you check the terms of your mortgage and see if overpayments are allowed or if there are any early repayment charges. If your mortgage doesn't allow overpayments or limits them, for example, to 10% a year, then it might make sense to put that extra money into investments. And by doing this, you're building up a separate pot of money in your investments and adding value to your property simultaneously, both of which will help your financial future. Of course, there are psychological benefits to paying off your mortgage and living mortgage-free, so ultimately it depends on what's more important to you. One of the things I haven't mentioned on this list is how to actually increase your income outside of the stock market. I recently discovered a truly unique way of earning passive income that 99.9% of the population has never even heard of. Click the link in the description if you want to learn more about it.